Thousands of lawsuits are alleging real harm from Ozempic, GLP-1 drugs, these weight loss drugs. Obviously, people know their side effects, but do they know all of them?
So it's not only now affecting your muscles and your bones, it's affecting your brain and your nerves. And so we need to be very careful and cautious with our use of this.
They say GLP-1s for weight loss is a shortcut. It's not. It's science.
Serena Williams on the Super Bowl ad talking about how her GLP-1, she's down 30-some pounds, and it all just looks so glossy and easy.
We know that Ozempic disrupts the dopamine pathways. They're concerned about people that are taking GLP-1s because they seem to have a much higher suicide risk. When you don't have a properly functioning or working nervous system, you're going to develop things like anxiety. You're going to develop things like depression. You'll also very likely even have a disruption in memory. So all of those things are actually being reported by people who are using Ozempic. If we're on this medication in order to achieve that short-term result, is it worth that risk?
These are miracle drugs, are they not?
Miracle drugs, bring them on. Next blockbuster.
Dr. Ron Dummar.
Is that a word still, now. Blockbuster? Can you do
It's
that?
definitely a now extinct movie store.
Yes, right.
R.I.P. to Blockbuster. This is the Be Well Now podcast. I'm Nick. We wanted to get into some of the lingering risks with Ozempic. Obviously, people know their side effects, but do they know all of them? You're a natural health practitioner, a functional medicine doctor, Chinese medicine. I'm butchering it. You tell me who you are. Who are you, and what do you have to say about Ozempic, and I guess why should people care?
Well, that's a great question. My name is Ron Dummar. I am a doctor of Chinese medicine, and I'm a chiropractic physician, and I'm a functional medicine doctor, and I practice here in Heber, and I've been practicing here for about 17 years now.
Heber City, Utah.
Heber City, Utah.
Community health and wellness.
Yes.
You have patients who come in, and I'm sure they ask you questions about Ozempic.
We have patients ask us about Ozempic a lot. Peptide, GLP-1 is what they're asking about. They're asking about Ozempic. They're asking about tirzepatide. But really, people want to be more lean. They want to lose the weight. And
LGN, I believe, is the look good naked.
Yes.
Everyone wants to look good naked.
Everybody wants to be the beach body, right? Everybody wants to look better. And you know what? I don't blame them. Of course, it's this, how did we get to the place we are? And some people it's through pregnancies, right? And through diet, through their life getting away from them. For some people, it's trauma. For some people, it's divorce. Like, we all have our own story, right? We all have our own story of how we got here. And what we need to do, and this is one of the reasons that our business is called community, is because we are responsible for each other. We are. The phrase is often said, am I my brother's keeper? And I answer that resoundingly, yes, we are. That doesn't mean we don't have individual responsibility. We have to take that, of course. But we are our brother's keeper, and we are responsible for our community. So how do we help each other? How do we help each other get to a place where we can be where we can have more of an ideal outlook on our own image, our own bodies, right? On ourselves. And there's a lot of body image issues that we deal with in this world as well. So society pushes us to a very specific, body image type that we're supposed to have or be. Sometimes our relationship pushes us that way. But we really need to, first of all, tap in and say, what is the most important thing? What is the most important thing for me long term, down the road, not just right here and right now? Because, GLP-1 has been showing these things will get people to a certain place fast. I think that's one of the benefits that we're seeing, okay? But what is the benefit long term? We're starting to see quite a few side effects, and that was the intro here too. Long term, we're seeing that there's thousands of lawsuits already against this that are alleging potential harms, right? And do we want those harms? Because if we're on this medication in order to achieve that short-term result, is it worth that risk? Is it worth the risk that might lead me into a place where I feel like I either have to live now with this other side effect or I have to sue to try to get repercussions? This
is not a theoretical thing for you.
No.
You know lots of people on medications, right?
A lot of people are on them. A lot of our patients are on them too, sure. right? Like people come and they ask for our help. So we support them. I'll support you in what you choose to do as a patient, okay? But my recommendation as a physician, as a natural health physician, is to get your health in order, to get yourself metabolically healthy. And we do. I work with my nurse practitioner as well, and she works with some of the patients to do microdosing, which I think has worked fairly well for some patients. Where
Microdosing
they do,
what?
Where they GLP-1s, where they do very small amounts of them, right? And they'll go on a little bit, then they'll go off, and then they'll go on, and they'll go off. And we're working with them metabolically in the meantime to get their labs and values all in order. Now, ideally, from my standpoint, I would say, well, ideally, we don't do it at all. But if that's what it takes, where you are mentally, where you are in your life at that point right now, I'm here as part of your community to help you, to assist you, right? Not to restrict and take things away, but let's all come together as a team and say, how can we achieve this together? Okay?
Before someone, and I love that approach because you are the doctor here. Before someone does take GLP-1s, they might want to know what is possible. And they might be
absolutely
looking at Serena Williams on the Super Bowl ad, advertising Roe, I believe, and the telehealth company, and talking about how her GLP-1, she's down 30 some pounds. And it all just looks so glossy and easy. We're talking about not just gastrointestinal side effects, but mental health side effects. Yes. I kind of wanted to, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I did want to get to some of the meat of what we wanted to talk about here, because I hadn't really heard about the side effects like depression and suicidal ideation. What are some of the side effects that we're hearing about now that there have been a lot of people taking these drugs?
So those are some of the really big side effects that you mentioned. Well, for instance, 40% of weight loss actually comes from the muscle and the bone. Okay. And if you're losing 40% of your weight actually from your muscle, that's not why I go to the gym. You go to the gym for that purpose?
To lose muscle? No.
And the thing about that that's so interesting is your muscle's where the insulin is. So GLP-1s are actually utilized within the body to regulate blood sugar. Well, what regulates blood sugar within the body? We know that it's insulin, and insulin oftentimes is stored locally within the muscles so that it can quickly get out to where it needs to be to push the sugar into the cells, right? So we have immediate access for energy. But if we're depleting our muscle store by 30 to 40%, then we're also going to deplete our ability or availability to be able to secrete insulin locally, right? Because we don't have as much muscle mass. So the other thing that's interesting about that is that we see in older populations, aging populations, as their muscle mass decreases, it correlates with an increase in mortality, which essentially means as the muscle mass depletes, the likelihood of death increases. Okay, and we don't like that trend. This is a very worrisome trend to be looking at and to be evaluating. So I don't like those trends, and those are absolutely things that we've seen, and we've known those for a longer time, but now we're even seeing the mental health piece of it. And this is one area that we wanted to cover, especially on this show, because the mental health piece, I think, is really big. There's a trial that they're working on right now. It's a European Medicines Agency. And they've actually also initiated an investigation into GLP-1s for their suicide risk. So they're concerned about people that are taking GLP-1s because they seem to have a much higher suicide risk than those that don't. That is shocking. That was shocking to me. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect to see that in the research. I didn't expect to see that in the evidence that's been coming out, but it was there. And the other thing is that we know that Ozempic disrupts the dopamine pathways. So serotonin, dopamine, acetylcholine, these are all neurotransmitters. And they sit right in the neural cleft. And they help to improve the transmission of signals from the gut to the brain, from the brain to the heart, from the brain to the whole body, right? So all this transmission of signals requires dopamine, it requires serotonin, it requires acetylcholine to properly work. So you can almost look at it like the grease on the wheels of the nervous system. So if you have a dysfunction or disruption within the neurotransmitters, then you're going to have a dysfunction in the transmission of signals sent from the brain to the body. So essentially, your central processing unit is saying, hey, body, function this way. But the messages are going through like Chinese whispers game, right? And at the end, instead of saying, hey, pick up the phone and answer, it's like, drain the tub, please, right? And so the signal is sent completely wrong, and so the things that occur are completely inadequate, and inaccurate. So as a result, when you don't have a properly functioning or working nervous system, you're going to develop things like anxiety. You're going to develop things like depression. You'll also very likely even have a disruption in memory, okay? So all of those things are actually being reported by people who are using Ozempic. So it's not only now affecting your muscles and your bones, it's affecting your brain and your nerves. And so we need to be very careful and cautious with our use of this.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, muscle loss and potential depression. Is there anything else I should worry about if I'm thinking about taking Ozempic or GLP-1s?
One thing that's interesting that they're seeing as well is this condition that it's leading to, and sometimes we see this in patients that have had trauma, or they've been in a heightened state of depression or anxiety for a long period of time, or they've been on some sort of specific medication that has numbed their feelings. We call it emotional blunting. And they're seeing that this is occurring with some of these patients as well. It's called emotional blunting. It basically means you don't feel real excited, but you don't feel real bummed either, and you're just kind of blah. You're just right there at the neutral all the time. There's nothing to get excited about, but there's nothing to really be mad or depressed about. So you're just there. And that is called emotional blunting. It's almost like past feeling, like you don't feel, like you don't have the feelings. You're just existing and moving through life. So that is also an interesting condition that people are finding when they undertake Ozempic, especially for longer periods of time.
What about gut, GI stuff? Isn't that a thing?
So gastroparesis, I thought we talked about that. We mentioned it briefly at the beginning.
I didn't hear it.
We jumped right. I think we jumped right into. I think we jumped right into the mental health aspect.
You hear people say, "Well, you're going to maybe have some stomach issues," but it's more serious than that, right?
It's way more serious than that, for sure.
I want people to know what the risks are. If they found you and they're listening to you long enough, you are a healer here in the Heber Valley of Utah. People take what you say very seriously, and if you've made it this far, please subscribe to the channel as a way to say thank you, because we do this as a passion project. But they come to you, they ask you, should I take this, doc? What are the risks? I don't think you mentioned the stomach stuff.
That's all right. Yeah, the gastroparesis. The gastroparesis is actually a really serious thing as well. When you don't have stool moving through the body efficiently, you essentially develop fermentation. So the stool
sounds like something that's good with wine and not good with my stomach.
Right, exactly. It ferments, and then the bacteria cultures, you can start to develop bacteria or cultures of bacteria that you really shouldn't have in certain places. So you have a very specific. Here's an idea to wrap around. Here, you should have a very specific flora, like a balance of bacteria in each area of the body. So you have a different one in the stomach. It's a very acidic environment. And you have a different one from the stomach and the small intestine. And then the large intestine to the small intestine, it changes as well. So each of these has a little different biotic balance, okay? And if the bacteria from the colon or the lower intestine gets into the small intestine, it can become problematic, okay? And so as we're moving stool through much more slowly, again, we can get this fermentation, but we can also get a lot of that movement of bacteria into areas that it shouldn't be. And then we can have, again, we talked about off-gassing. We can have we can have bloating. You can have even irritation to the microvilli, the lining of the intestines. And it causes a lot of pain. Now, even just the gastroparesis itself, which when your stool's not moving through, that is one of the reasons that people feel like they don't need to eat is because they haven't received that signal to their brain, because the stool's not moving through far enough into the intestines for them to be ready to eat again. And so you actually have to have that neurological signal where the chyme or the food has moved through, the stool has moved through the intestines far enough in order to get that signal to your brain that says, hey, we're ready to start eating again, because pretty soon we're going to need that energy. And so if you have gastroparesis, you literally begin to develop a paralysis of the musculature of the intestines. And the paralysis means essentially that the muscles are not able, they become flaccid and weak, and they're not able to contract. And the only way that we can move stool through our intestines and eliminate pathogens and infections and all those things that we've talked about is to contract the stool, to squeeze it and move it through and out. Now, obviously, you can see if we have a stool that is trapped in the colon for a longer period of time, we can develop irritation, we can develop inflammation, we could have one particular biotic species become a problem, which then is an infection, and then we can even develop a proliferation, a dysregulation of a proliferation of certain cells, which is known as a tumor or even a cancerous lesion that begins to form. Now remember, we want to eliminate. Our GI is one of our major elimination organs. Why would we want to slow that process down? Especially when our body utilizes in the largest way possible the GI and the gut as its major elimination process. If my lymphatic system, my immune system finds pathogenic factors, it dumps it, it sends a signal to dump it into the gut as quickly and rapidly as possible. And if I'm slowing the process of eliminating those pathogens, I'm going to harbor them within my own body, and then I'm going to sustain them in my gut and my GI, which very well could lead me to something like colorectal cancer.
Then why are people that are so smart and successful using Ozempic? Like Serena Williams makes it seem like she's a champion at the highest level, and even she has used it. It makes it seem so palatable. And yet I hear you explain it to me. I'm like, why isn't everyone thinking like this?
Serena
they might
Williams,
even hear what you say and not even care.
Oh, for sure. And we are, I think a lot of people get so far into the weeds and so far medicated. One medication takes care of another, and another medication takes care of the next one, right? And then all of a sudden they're on 4 or 5 medications, and they're like, oh, I'm fine. And pretty soon, if you ask that person, you have to get to a point, you say, well, at what point did you become deficient of medication? At what point was medication deficiency your problem? When did that actually occur? We've talked a lot about vitamin and mineral deficiencies, and I think as a natural state of the way we live, right, that we have and we can develop deficiencies. Our certain people will eat a certain way; they'll eat only certain foods, and as a result, they don't get some vitamins. Could be vitamin A, it could be vitamin E, right? Vitamin B. A lot of people are showing that they have vitamin D deficiency. We see vitamin D deficiency quite frequently in the office. And so we need to look at this and say, what is really going on with our health? Okay. We do not have, and I assure you, we do not have a pharmaceutical synthetic medication deficiency. That doesn't exist. That's not our problem. Our issue is what we're looking for is what minerals, what vitamins, what nutrients, and what foods am I missing? And have I had any other potentially toxic exposures that are causing an issue with my health? Okay, so that's the number one thing for us to address here, again, is our health metabolically. First of all, before we even say I should get onto a medication, can I do this in a natural way first? Is there an option for me to do it that way? And we should be seeking that option, or at least, especially if you've kicked the can down the road long enough, like we've talked about on this topic already, that you're at the point where you're saying, okay, you know what, this has gone on too far too long, and I just got to do something. I have to be on this medication. Okay, then let's get on this medication, and let's draw your labs, let's see where your values are, and let's put together a plan for you specifically that addresses diet, that addresses vitamins and minerals that you need, that are going to begin to turn your body around so that you can have the metabolic capacity and the physiological demand to meet the demands that your body is requiring. Okay. And as soon as we can do that, then we can begin to explore eliminating that medication.
Do you want to talk about alternatives to Ozempic?
100%. So thanks for leading me on there,
All right.
Nick. So with the Ozempic alternatives, one of my favorites, and this is one people talk about a lot, is actually berberine. So berberine is it's a nutraceutical, and it's found in a number of very strong, powerful antiviral and antibiotic, antifungal herbals. And it works by actually secreting or supporting the bacteria within the gut that release the hormone GLP-1. Well, that's pretty cool that a plant or a nutraceutical can do that. But it's out there and it does it. Berberine is very effective at that. There are other things, though, that you can definitely do, and one of them is cinnamon. Cinnamon itself has been shown to help with blood sugar regulation, and it impacts actually the spleen and the pancreas as well. So it can improve insulin secretion, and it can help the body to push the sugar into the cells so that you have that metabolic capacity and the energy that you need. Another one that I like is chromium. I don't know if there's as much support or research behind chromium, but I've utilized chromium quite a bit in certain patients, that especially where it feels like they seem to be pretty stubborn, the blood sugar. So I would use berberine and then combine that with some chromium.
Is that something they should get a doctor's advice on, or should they just buy these supplements at the store?
Yeah, so I definitely always get the doctor's advice, especially on chromium.
And they could reach out to your office and do that if they wanted?
They can reach out to us. They should reach out to us.
So they're like, I don't know if I should take Ozempic. I'm on the fence. I listen to this podcast. This guy sounds like he knows what he's doing.
I could do berberine. I could do cinnamon.
There's a lot of experts out there. Why would they reach out to you?
Well, they should reach out to me because I've got the plan. I've been doing this for 17 years, and I've put together a really good plan for a lot of people. And I feel like I feel like I'm pretty gifted at it. Let's put it that way.
I want someone who's like kind of humble, but also kind of knows they're good, which is, I think, you.
Right.
You know, because you don't shout from the rooftops. I feel like I work hard to try to get the sound bites out of you, which is if you see my body language, I just want you to communicate. That's all, because I'm a communicator by nature. Because I know you've got the expertise.
For sure.
That's why I'm like, why should they reach out? I mean, because you have all this information. I feel like you're never shy of information. It's never you don't have another study under your belt or another piece of information to give. It's just I want you to let people know.
For sure.
You know, in a way that they
you can come to us.
Hear.
You should come to us.
You should come to this guy.
Yeah, you should.
Do you work with patients on weight loss and do it naturally versus Ozempic?
Yeah, you know what? We do. We do work with patients with weight loss, and I actually have been reviewing that plan I've had a number of patients ask me about it recently, and so I was like, okay, we should really maybe refine our plan and rework it a little bit. I've got some tweaks and changes that I want to put into it. We use a variety of things. So we use berberine, we use intermittent fasting, we use hydrocolon therapy, which is so good and so beneficial and helpful for people. And I mean, talk about a quick weight loss strategy, move those stools. That's, I would say, better than a GLP-1. It's better than establishing or getting yourself into a position where you have gastroparesis. How about encouraging the stools just to move through you? How about just encourage them to move through you more quickly? Okay. That is going to be way better for you, way healthier for your gut, for your intestines, for your GI. It's going to be way better for your cells, for your hydration, for your liver. It's going to help push detoxification from the liver if you just do simple things like that, hydrocolon therapy.
That's like an enema, or is that different?
Yeah, it's like an at-home enema you could do for sure. There are actually professional hydrocolon therapists as well that you can go to. I have a professional hydrocolon therapist near here that we refer to, and we have a herbal formula. So I use a specific formula to nourish the lining of the intestines when we do it. We call it an insert when we're doing the hydrocolon therapy, but I have patients do it at home. I give them instructions and they can prepare it at home as well and use it also.
So you're saying that intermittent fasting actually kind of mimics like a GLP-1?
So
Or how does
the
that work?
intermittent fasting in combination with the hydrocolon therapy.
And then what about like a high protein diet? What does that do?
So high protein diet, or the idea with the protein diet, it's really to focus more on protein and veggies and real food, and to limit and reduce carbs and seed oils, refined seed oils, and ultra processed foods and carbs. That's really what that's designed to do. And what that will do is it will promote beneficial bacteria that actually create and secrete GLP-1. Again, there's nothing wrong with GLP-1, but synthetic GLP-1 replaces the body's ability to do that. And you don't want to replace it. You actually want to encourage it. So what we do in our medicine is we encourage the production of GLP-1 by the bacteria in the gut so that you keep that capacity. You keep it for life, right? It's like we're trying to... one of us, the GLP-1 that Serena Williams advertised, is basically trying to just deliver a fish to your door every day and charge you for it. And my team, on the other hand, are trying to teach you to fish so you can fish for the rest of your life and feed yourself.
Letting your body do what it's designed to do.
That's right. Yeah, give you the tools and equip your body to do what it's designed to do.
Are there dangers of taking a GLP-1 and then getting off of it? Like, is there like permanent damage, or can you recover from that? Like, if I just wanted to do Ozempic for a season and lose some weight, is there an exit strategy? Because I know with TRT, we've done a podcast about that. And that's one of those where I get the impression that once you sort of start doing it, your body stops making it. And it's like, you're probably going to be on it for life. Like, can I just do Ozempic for a little while?
What I have found in my experience is that microdosing, like in small amounts and going on and off of it in small amounts, is okay as long as you're exercising to try to keep your muscle tone, and as long as you're focused on what vitamins, minerals, nutrients do I need, and metabolic health. Like, you have to be dialed in on that. My patients who are doing this, they're watched over by our nurse practitioner. They're microdosing that way, and then they're getting their health in order as far as their metabolic health, and they're getting the vitamins, minerals, nutrients that their body is calling for from blood tests. So that's the only way that I would say to do it. Otherwise, if you're just kind of going on and off it yourself, absolutely, I would say it's not a good situation. It's very problematic, and it's basically just going to wreck the gut and the GI.
Which can lead to all kinds of issues like colorectal cancer.
Well, for sure it can, and even in all sorts of inflammatory issues, it can lead to as well. There's a whole host of, irritable bowel related issues and inflammatory disorders like Crohn's and diverticulitis and all sorts of things that it can lead the way to. It's obviously not a direct causative path to, but it's certainly not a preventative, right? It's not preventing it.
You know what also sucks is being really overweight.
Yeah.
So it's like some people want to lose that weight. And if they want to do that naturally, they should reach out to your office.
If you want to do that in as natural and wholesome as way as possible, and still have potentially the option of, if we feel like we need to after a while, whether it's like, hey, this has just been going on too long and I got to fix something now. If you want that option, come to our office.
How can they reach you?
You can reach us at 435-657-3696. You can walk into the rec center here at Heber Valley.
Activa Plaza.
Come right in here and we'll talk to you at our front desk. Wonderful ladies up front will help you. Or you can find us online at chwheber.com.
The link to that website in the description below. As always, everybody, be well now.
Be well now.
Namaste.
Namaste.